what's up everybody? Today we have a fun little thing called Food for Thought where staff are going to give their thoughts and opinions on different questions. Then we have spontaneous things, so get ready to be spontaneous, and origami with Quinn, so buckle up, it's gonna be fun.
Okay, what is the kindest thing a stranger has ever done for you?
So the kindest thing a stranger has done for me was about 20 years ago. I was a young mom with my husband, and I had 2 kids, and we were at the market and we didn't have enough money to pay for our groceries. So there was an older gentleman behind us, and he said, hey, I was trying to take stuff out so I would have enough. And so he just said, hey, I'll totally pay for your groceries. So I thought he was gonna pay for whatever we were missing, but he ended up paying for all of our groceries. So I thought that was a really nice act of kindness. So from here on out, every time I see somebody that needs something, I'll try to help them out as much as I can.
One of the things that I can think of right now is when I lived in Oregon about a year and a half ago. I was out walking with my friend, and it started pouring rain on us, and our car was about half a mile away. And so there's a stranger, just someone there at the park where we were at, and they were like, hey, can I take you to your car, because it was downpour. And so she gave us a ride to our car so that we didn't get soaking wet.
What is the kindest thing a stranger has ever done for you?
I would divide that up into 2 different things. One from my childhood and one from my adulthood. When I was a kid, I remember there was a park with this huge rocket ship slide, and my cousins wanted to climb all the way up to the top, and I went with them, but then I realized I was up way higher than I was comfortable, and I panicked and I started to cry, and I didn't know how to get down. And then the next thing I remember, there was a man who had climbed up there and saw I was so upset, and he was so gentle and so kind, and he carried me back down, and so I didn't have to worry about climbing down myself. And I still remember what a kind thing that was and just how gentle he was. When I was an adult, I was a student at Weber State, and I was in the library, and there was a girl next to me, and I had given her a Starburst because I had some with me. And all of a sudden she said, would you like a cup of coffee? And I thought, whoa, I was so surprised because I didn't know her. I hadn't been talking to her other than handing her the Starburst, and a cup of coffee is so much bigger than a Starburst. I was surprised, and I almost didn't take it seriously. And then she left and came back and brought me a cup of coffee, and didn't expect anything in return. And I just thought that was such a kind thing for somebody to do. So I would say those were the nicest things.
There we go.
Hi Roy Teen Club, it's Bonnie again. I'm here. I'm going to share with you something that we call spontaneous things. So we'll just come up with little activities that you can do either by yourself or with your family or whoever you are quarantined with, because everyone's in different situations. So this week we are going to do something called Target Golf. So here's an example that I made before, just out of the soda can box. So the picture I saw had 5 holes, but I could only fit 3 to fit the ball that I have at home. And then you just label them different points, so you can make it a competition, or you can just see how many points you can get. And so the higher the number, the smaller the hole, so it's closer to the ball size. And then the lower, the bigger the hole is, so the easier it is to get in. So I will show you how to make it. It's pretty simple. I'm sure you could figure out how to do it just by looking at this, but I will show you anyway. So my ball doesn't roll away. So I'm gonna use this box here. I've already cut off all the different flaps so it'll lay flat. I think it got bent a little bit carrying it in today. It's okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just start cutting. I'm gonna start with a bigger hole, and then we'll go from there. Okay? So I'll leave a little bit along the edge so it'll still stand up. And I'll make sure that tall enough for my ball to go through. So you can use basically any box that you can find. Like I said, I use a Mountain Lightning can box. Using box for chips. Probably use a tissue box depending on the size of your ball. And you can use whatever type of ball you have as well. A bouncy ball, that's what this one is. You can use a golf ball or tennis ball or baseball. So basically whatever you can find in your house. You can even like roll a sock up and make it into a ball type of thing and use that if you need. So you can basically make about anything work. Alright, just got this little corner here. There we go. And some cardboard might be harder to use with the scissors, but it'll be fine. So I just cut one that's pretty big for my ball. So it'll probably be a lower scoring one. Then I'm gonna leave a bigger gap. This smaller gap, it bends really easy. So I'm gonna use a bigger one to make it more sturdy. And depending on the size of your box and the size of your ball depends on how many holes you can get. If you use a smaller ball, you could probably fit more holes, but since it's a little bit bigger, I have to make my holes bigger as well, so it takes up more space. So I'm going to do the one that is just big enough for the ball to go in. This little bigger box is a little more difficult. Be careful, don't cut yourself. Alright, so this one is just big enough for my ball to go through. I kind of just measured it with, I just said, you might have saw me put the ball on top just so I can make sure that it'll fit in. Alright, now it's gonna roll away on me. There we go. And I'll cut another one out because it should fit. The edges won't be very thick on them, just so I can fit it in here. So you probably want about at least 3 holes to make it more enjoyable. Alright. The little corners at the very end are kind of hard. There we go. Alright, so I just cut myself 3 holes. Got a big one, medium-sized one. Trying to see, this box is big. And then the one in between. And so I'm gonna just label them probably about the same like this. So that you can see them. These on here. I'm just putting the tape on so you can see the numbers that I'm writing. If you want to, you could get paper or paint and cover the box so it looks all nice. I'm not going to, but if you want to and spend more time on it, go right ahead. Okay, so this one I'm going to do 50 points, and this one I'm going to do 30 and 10. Because in this way, you can just set it on your floor, and it's got the back there to pitch the ball so it won't go rolling all around the house. And you can just roll your ball and see what score you can get. And like I said, you can make it a competition with your siblings or your parents. Your parents might be super bored and want to be entertained too. So you can do it with them and just enjoy yourself and have fun. Oh yes, and upload pictures to Roy Teen at bgcweberdavis.org, and with your name and a number between 1 and 24 for participation, and you might win a prize. They're pretty cool. All right, have a good day.
All right, how's everyone doing? Today we're going to be folding the spring iris. Hopefully get a little bit of spring flowers in the mood. So we're just going to start right off by folding down. We're going to fold the square paper in half just like that. You want to make sure that it's lined up really nicely, and then we're just going to, oh, hold on, let me get that perfect, absolutely perfect right there. Give me a second. All right, there we go. And then we're just gonna crease it real hard. Very nice, nice and sharp. Just like that. All right. And once that's all nice and finished, then we're gonna go ahead and unfold it and make the same fold on the other side, just like that. So. And yeah, so you do want to be making these folds really precise. It's gonna make it a lot easier later on to do some of the more hard folds, which we'll get to. But as for now, we'll just make that fold and then unfold it, and we've got a little X in our square. So next thing we're gonna do is flip the paper over, and this time we're going to fold the diagonals of the square. So that's corner to corner. We're just gonna fold it nice and easy right there. Make sure, again, it's a really sharp crease. Nothing too tough about it. Just make those nice and sharp. You want to get those corners to match as close as you can. Alright, so now that we've got that fold, next thing we're going to do, we're going to get to the fun part right about now. So if you did the folds correctly, I'm going to flip that over again. What we're going to do is we're going to push into the center, and you see how that popped right there? That's what we're looking for. And we're going to grab the two sides and fold it down like that, and we're going to make a square out of that, out of the folds that we just made. So I'm going to show you again. It's a little bit tough to kind of see once you try it the first time, but once you get it, it won't be too bad. So just like that, the corners go in, and you want to make sure that everything's nice and folded together. It's a good clean square, and then you're going to want to have the open part at the bottom. So the next thing we're going to do is just fold over to the side some flaps just so we can get that crease down the middle. And we're just going to grab one of the flaps, and if you'll notice that on the bottom there's going to be a little pocket that we can open up. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the pocket with our finger just like that, and we're going to perform what's called a squash fold, where you want to flatten that out and kind of squash the paper down, and you want to match up those lines so it's even on both sides. And we're going to be doing this a lot, so if you're having trouble on the first time, you'll get a lot of practice, so you get really good at this. And so it's going to look like that. And if that was too fast for you, don't worry, I'm going to do it again on the next side. And you're actually going to do this on all four sides of the square. So I'm going to show you again here. And it really helps to get your finger in there to open up the flap. Makes it a little bit easier for the squash fold to happen. So we're going to open it up and line up. You can see how I'm lining up the edges like this. That makes it a nice even fold. Yeah, and then on both sides, you're going to want to crease those two there. All right, so that's one side completed. And so now what I'm going to do is just flip it over, and then we'll do the same thing for the next two on the back. So I'm just going to fold it like that just to get the middle center line. It's going to make it a little bit easier to open the flaps. All right. And for number 3, there we go. Just stay consistent and open it up like that and squash fold that flap right there, keeping the center folds lined up, and then crease the outsides. Okay. Perfect. All right, looks good. Now only one left. Okay. And just like that. All right, pretty simple, right? Perfect. Okay. All right, so we've got that. And next thing we're gonna do is just fold it over, just one flap over, so that it's nice and even. And then I'm gonna do that on the other side as well. Yep. So just make sure that you have an equal amount of flaps on both sides. That's gonna be very important. It's gonna help us just keep track of where everything is. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is fold the entire model in half from the tip, the top point, all the way down to the bottom point. Okay, and now we're going to do some pre-creasing where we take, let's see, the single bottom flap, and you see I've got that point there. That's where the fold we just made meets the side. And I'm going to take that bottom part and fold it to the middle. All right, so you can see where the fold line makes right there, giving you a good view of that. So just like that, we're gonna fold it to the middle. And then on the other side, we're gonna do the same thing. And I've got the point where the crease meets the edge there, and then we're gonna fold it in, just like that. Okay, so once I've got these two folds, this is where we unfold it. Gonna look like that, and there we go. All right, so this next fold is called a petal fold, and what I'm gonna do is, back when we folded the tip down, then there's going to be a line there, and we're gonna fold up along that line and bring in the sides at the same time. And it's gonna use most of the folds that we made, just barely, but there's gonna be a couple new ones there at the top, and you're making this new point, just like that. Right, so it helps if you're really, really accurate with your other folds, and it makes it go a lot nicer. So just like that. And same as before, we're going to do this on all four sides. So you'll get a lot of practice, you'll get really good at this really quickly. And so just notice how the sides come in like that. It's not too bad. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is just fold one and then two sides over. Then it looks just the same as before. We can fold this down to make our creases again. And we're basically gonna repeat the same steps for the other sides. So I'm just gonna show you again real quick how to do this. So yeah, I'm folding in these sides to the middle and creasing really nicely. And same thing over here. All right. And once those two are looking nice and straight, I'm going to unfold both of them. And again, just take the middle part and fold it up, and at the same time, the sides are going to come in. And you can see along there, so I'm going to start to flatten that out. And you don't have to flatten it out really quickly. You can take it slow, just make sure everything's in its place where it needs to be. And I'm just doing that nice and slow to get a good crease. All right, that looks good. Okay, so I'm just going to speed through the next couple ones. I don't want to bore you too long, but you're going to do the same thing on all four sides here. Okay, so I'm just finishing up this last one here, and it's gonna look like this. You got a nice diamond shape, and you can see we've got all 4 sides folded up with that petal fold, just like that. Okay, so we're gonna get an even amount of flaps on each side, just make sure everything's symmetrical. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is, I believe now all you should have to do is just fold. Okay, we're gonna fold the tip down like that. And just do that for all 4. Folding the tip of those petals down. Make sure we've got all 4, there we go. It's going down. And there we go. All right, so now we're going to turn the model over. And there we go. So you should have 4 little legs or arms or whatever you want to call it just at the top there, and that's how you know you've got the right orientation. All right, we're just about finished with this. The next thing we're going to do is fold 1 flap over to the side, and now we're going to make a really thin fold. We're going to take the edge and fold it into the middle. So we're thinning down the base of this flower. Right, just like that. And it's going to look like that, and we're going to do it on the other side. Make sure you're only grabbing 1 flap. It's very important that you're only taking 1 piece because we need to do it on all the sides. And so that's going to look like that. Right. And once you've got that folded, I'm going to do it on the back here. Remember, I'm folding 1 over and then folding the sides into the middle. I want them both to meet each other and be the same height. So there we go. That's 1. And the other one. Okay. Right, there we go. So those just go in like that. And make sure those look good. All right, so now I'm just going to close that and then open the other side. So again, we're going to do this on all 4 sides, just folding that into the middle. And just like that. Perfect. All right, we're just about finished. We're actually really close to being done now, though it may not look like it. We just got 1 more set to fold in. I'm going to open up the only side that we haven't done yet. There we go. And fold these in. Okay, there we go. All right, looks like that's about finished. Okay, so now we are on the final few steps of this. So what we're gonna do is, up at the top we've got our petals here. You can see that we've got 4 petals, and we're gonna start on just the side that we have, and we're gonna fold it down as far as it can go. We're actually gonna fold it like that. You want it as far as it can go, and you're gonna wanna stick it straight out. So this is one of the petals of our flower. So I'm gonna do that on both sides. And fold it just like that. And there we go. Press that down. Get a nice and good fold. All right, and now for the last couple ones, you kind of have to open it up. It really wants to come apart here. You just got to keep it there with your hands. Make sure it doesn't fall apart. And there we go. We've got 1 more down. And the last one, you can see how this flower is forming now. Right, we've got the 4 petals and then in the inside of the flower. Okay. And then with the last petal done, you're pretty much finished. I mean, if you want to, you can curve the petals, but there you go. That's gonna be your spring iris. So I really like the look of this flower. It looks really nice. It's almost looks like the real thing, but that's a great model. And there you have it.